Okay, hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Esteban and I am so excited to kick things off with this video where we'll dive into containerizing an Angular application using Docker. If you are new to containerizing or just looking to learn more about deploying Angular apps with Docker, you are in the right place. You know, so in this tutorial I walk you through the entire process step by step. By the end of this video I hope you'll have a clear understanding of how to encapsulate your Angular projects into Docker containers for easier deployment and scalability. So okay, go ahead. Alright, the first thing I am going to do is demonstrate that the Angular application runs locally without the need for containers or any DevOps tools. So to do this, we navigate to the Angular web directory that stay here. Okay, and in this application I specifically part of frontend. This is backend and the frontend. In the frontend, I need to go to the frontend in the CLI, so I can put cd frontend and execute the command ngserve. Okay, ngserve start the Angular service, building at the Angular service. So it's very important if you don't have any acknowledgement for Angular apps, that for the default port it's this, and click here and could see, and that's it. This is the Angular application locally, localhost, the ports, and you can see that it's work. So that is locally. I don't use containers or anyone else, so it's only a test. So I can, as we can see, everything is working correctly. By default, Angular listen it's in this port. Now let's close this process to Dockerize the application Angular. So close. So for this purpose, I prepare a folder containing only the application. So I can put the Visual Studio Code, and this is my application. Okay, and well, when I enter this folder, I have two folders. Okay, the folder is the backend and the front end. So the backend folder allow us to connect to our database with all the information hosted on our servers. So it's very important, this file. If you try to deployment in a production, this is very important, the backend and the frontend obviously, but the backend have a lot of information that is very necessary for deployment and in a good way. So I decided to Dockerize only the visual part, that is the frontend. In this case, I don't Dockerize the part of the backend. Could be, or perhaps in another video I could containerize this part, but at the moment I don't need it. So let's continue to the first step. The first step we need to do is create a Docker file within the frontend folder and specify one file. So here I put new file. In the new file, the name is Docker file, and okay, and the Docker file. The first step that I use is from. I use the base image for the Angular application is Node 18.3. In my case, I use this base image. That could be you follow the link. You can see it is image stay and the Docker have this official image. So yeah, you could see the node and the versions, a lot of versions. So you can use any version that you needed. In my case, I use this version. Okay, so I write here at the build stage because my Docker file it's part of a stage. So the term creating a Docker by stage refers to the process of building and organizing a Docker container in different steps or phases within a configuration file. That configuration file called in common it's a Docker file that is the same that I write here. So this approach is primarily used to optimize the creation of the Docker images, especially for applications that consist of multiple parts or dependencies. So at the end of the day, this provides us with a smaller image that takes up less space. Okay, so imagine, let's assume that I am going to deploy this application using Azure Cloud or AWS Cloud or Google Cloud, wherever you want, which allows me to reduce the cost, because I won't need a large capacity to run the application at a production level. That's the idea for create a stage into Docker files. Okay, I hope that I am very clear about this topic. And okay, and the first is we create a working at the front, at the base image, and the second step could be I create a working directory within the container name app. So I create work directory and the name app. Okay, that is my working directory. And in the second, in the third step, I copy the dependency listening the package.json, .json, and install them inside the container using the command npm install. Because of the dependency that need my Angular application stay here. You could see a lot of things. So I need to copy this inside of my container. So I create a copy. I need to copy package.json and inside of my container, with this dot. It's very important. And I need to run command that is npm install all dependencies that I needed. Okay, and and next I need to copy all my files that say in the frontend folder in my inside of my container. So I need to specify alt with dot, or could be I could write app, that is my work directory. So but in this moment I need to put only one dot, so for me it's okay. Here I could expose the port, but in the reality I don't need it, because the port that I expose in this Docker file, it's not necessary, because I am use Nginx with a proxy server, so I can do it. If you do it, you can put it. So that is very important. And one thing that is very important is one command that is run npm run build. This command permits in building the application and inside of the container. So it's the very important. And I see it's all for this stage, so you could be put and the second stage. In this case it's from Nginx, and use the base image Nginx are fine. That image it's very utilizing lightweight base image. It's very important, because if you have to use Nginx, could be Nginx, it's more bigger than this image. Okay, so I use this image, and here we copy. I am copying what is generated in the build stage, which contains the path to the static page within Nginx. So when to finish this stage, I need to copy this part, and for this part it's front. You could see the front it's equal to stage. Okay, in my case the stage, the name of my stage is build stage. Okay, so I need to introduce the path of this thing, and this is my working directory, that is app, my working directory. And when you execute this command npm run build, create inside of the app folder dist at folder dist, that is in the front end. Could be and sometimes create a dist folder, or in another sometimes could be create a source folder. It's the two folders could be right here, but in this case I decide to write dist in this frontend. So I need to do where I copy this stage. Okay, and the Nginx use the path user Nginx HTML for the page, static page. So this is the path, or I need to write here for listen my Angular application, the frontend. So I copy this on this. Okay, so it's very important to to do this. And finally, I need to copy one more important thing that at the moment I don't have. So, but I need to copy the custom Nginx file. I need a Nginx custom file, because in this custom Nginx file, I need to introduce the listen ports, the browse, the page that for default listen Nginx, and I need to change it. I need to change for my application, so I need to erase this, and this in the path inside of the container in the Nginx is Nginx, okay, etc Nginx conf dot d default dot conf, and this it's very important because the dot say that you stay in the frontend, not into backend, not into mains, in the main page. You stay in the frontend. So I need to go to frontend and create the new file, and in this new file need to call the same I write into Docker file. So in the Docker file I write nginx custom.conf. So okay, and here I need to include one custom Nginx configuration file and place inside the container in the same way. So here I have and create an Nginx custom. Okay, and so I need to only copy this. I introduce the server, listen to port 80. That is very important. My application listen to port 80. That's it. That's it's because I am not include the expose ports here because I don't need it. I need because in Nginx custom I include this. So if for example I don't have this line here and I don't use the proxy server, yeah, it's very important to expose your application here and to expose this application of an Angular application of the Angular application. It's for 4,000. I don't remember how to listen to port of the Angular application, but you need to include here. So and the root is user share nginx html browser. That's the root that I use here. Okay, so finally I think it's all could be. So the only thing to do is execute the line commands. Okay, but well, I was initially planning to include this, but we can create a Docker compose file to start both containers. When I say boot containers, I can include the backend and the frontend, but or just one container as demonstrated here, because I now include the backend. But could be you include, if you have more experience with me, you have include a Docker file on the backend. So in the frontend, in this case, I only create here in the main folder, and I create a Docker compose. Okay, Docker compose .yaml for this Docker file. Okay, I only create one container for this. So okay, in this case I include the version. The version that I use is could be 3.8. This version you could see what is the version that you can put here in the documentation of the Docker, officially documentation. So it's very important to read a lot of things for the Docker Compose service. Is what service I include here. In my case, only one service, that is frontend. Okay, the frontend, it's my service. So in this I built my image, the context of the Docker file, because you can put builds. It's one way of it. Another way is and create an image, and you can put, for example, nodes, latest, and that's it. But this is a base image, so I don't need a base image, because I'm create a Docker file with include all the things that I needed for deploy this Docker Compose. So I need to put the command build, and this build the context. The context say that when located to Docker Compose, in this case is in the main folder. So I need to I need to go to the frontend. Why the frontend? Because in the frontend I include my you could see the Docker file that is I need for create my frontend. So it's because in all the main folder, and I need to go to frontend. So it's very easy. So I need to go to frontend, and the frontend I include the Docker file that I create. In this case, it's the Docker file with not the capital letters. So I need to erase this letter and put the Docker file, and that's it. And so I need to build an image on my own Docker file. Okay. And okay. Another thing is very important here is the ports. The ports, in this case, this application, you can see that listen in the port 80. So here you can put the target port and another thing. So in my case, I used 2000 port for listen this application, but in the dot you need to include what is the listen the port in the local application, and this case is 80. So if you don't put 80 here, this deployment is not execute, because the Docker don't do it with any port. So I need to include the main port, that in this case is 80. Okay, so and for me, I think it's all. Obviously you can do volumes, you can put environments, so but it's more complicated that I need to explain in another video. So for me, I think it's all the things that I need to do in this case. So I introduced the Docker Compose, and the only thing that I need to do is Docker Compose first. I can check the images that I create. In this case, for this video, I don't have any images. So and the containers, Docker ps flag 8, and I don't have any container. So I am clear that I introduce new containers here. So it's very simple with the command docker compose add the it's because I prefer to work in the background. I not prefer to if I don't use this letter, I need to attach inside of the container. Okay, so that d and build. Okay, and that's it. I hope that it's very all it's okay because uh, because it's very because I think and I feel that all that I do it right now it's okay. If I have a lot of problems, yeah, you can see the logs of the containers. It's very important if you have a lot of problems. Well, not only the containers. If you have a lot of problems, for example, and the clusters and the pods, you can watch all the problems with the logs. For example, in the Kubernetes, and you can use cubes, CTL, logs, and the ID of the pod. You know, and the Docker is the same. Is the same thing. For example, in the Docker, if you have any problem, you can use Docker logs and the ID of that container, and you can watch and you can see. You can see the problems. So for me, it's one tool. It's very important to use because not all the time, if you do it in the if you do it all the steps in your home in your work don't could be you have a lot of problems. If you don't have any problems, for me it's one important problem. you know because in the first time when you introduce the first time when you use any DevOps tools, 100% you have a lot of problems. So that's the idea for introduce a new steps and new things and to learn more and more and more every single day. So here that's it that I don't have any problems. I hope so. So that's it. So you could see Docker PS, and yep, at the moment it's executing a good way and don't have any problems. For example, that the problems that I say it's for example Docker logs, and you can put this, okay, and you can watch. And you can see that it's for me it's very okay. So the big test is here. I need to put local host per 2000, and I have a lot of problem here. And okay, I need to it's very in the problem. It's in the nginx custom.conf. Okay. And could be front end build Docker file. So let me see what is the problem, and I'm here in 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so okay, I see the problem. The problem is I don't here I don't put one important part, that it's the share, because in the nginx custom I put this part, user share nginx HTML browser. So I can, my big mistake is not put this in the Docker file. You can see that here user share nginx html, and I think it's all. So I need to save, and I need to down, excuse me, docker compose down, because I need to remove these containers, and I put this command again, and I hope all to do it's okay, because I think it's only one mistake here. I don't put the share, the correct path. So I hope that's all. I have a lot of problems. I have a lot of things. So the log that I can see, it's here. It's the getting the checksum of engine.conf. So it's because I can increase, because I don't put the correct root that is here, user nginx, and I hope that it's all okay. And excuse me if I have a lot of problems. I think it's my first video and that I can speak in English, because for me it's very complicated to speak English, but I try to learn a new things, a new vocabulary, and I don't have and I don't have a fruit. So I hope that, excuse me if you understood all in a good way, because my language, I know I need to practice more and more. So excuse me about that. And okay, and I don't know when some from what I say. I hope that it's create and the running. Okay, you see, and I hope I don't have any problem here. Okay, and could see this, and this, and I don't know if it's okay. Okay, and okay, I can see this, and that's it. Okay, it's all okay. That's only the big mistake of it is myself. It's because I am not a professional. I am a junior person. My big mistake is here, because this is the root, this is the path I need to use. I need to do it into Docker file. I need to include into Docker file, and my big mistake is I don't put this share. That is because I don't have this application in a good way, and you can see all it's working, and I think it's all. So, well, I could say thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you understood it well, and I apologize for speaking in English. But I am practicing to become more fluent in this important language. My native language is Spanish. I can speak Spanish and a little bit French, the basic French, So in this case, I hope that in 2 or 1 year I speak in a good way the English. I hope to improve and minimize the mistakes in the future. So thank you for your understanding, and I look forward to getting better in the future, because I would like to live in Canada, or probably French. I hope so. Well, I will be living in Canada or French in 3 or 4 years. It's my goal. And thank you for this video, and I'm sorry about all the mistakes that I have. It's my first video when I say, and thank you and goodbye.